Recording in progress.
So yeah, starting on today's training, there's some personal stuff to start with, really. Like Carl and Kerry will be watching, just laughing, and I don't know who else is on live who's seen this before. Probably Jess as well. I think that's just about it from the live crew. So what I want you guys to take away, obviously I've been rough as a Badgers Tadger since since Tuesday, and like Carl's seen this before this time last year, and Kerry has as well. It happened around about the same time when it's so crazy, and I think there's a lesson that all you guys can take away from it, that we just sometimes don't accept and learn our own lessons. So, how many times have you guys heard me say, rest is a prerequisite for optimal performance, not a reward for total burnout? Yet here we are again, smashing 4 hour, 45-minute ultras, running 3 days either side of that, on top of everything else, on top of parenting, on top of work, on top of moving house and everything else that's going on. And this is where I need to get to now, and where I've journaled out. Like Carl will be laughing, like I have to stop this happening. It happens 2 or 3 times a year. And Kieran talks about it all the time. It's the classic business owner burnout cycle. It's the classic athlete burnout cycle, when it's difficult sometimes because the training, the work, the exercise, the running can actually become our coping mechanism. So without it, we kind of then don't really know who we are or what to do it. And that's where I struggle with especially with ADHD. It's like, how do I just sit still? How do I just do nothing? No, this doesn't make me feel comfortable. And I think that's what I've taken away. I need to find a way. I'm looking into meditation now, which hopefully I can coach you guys on. I need to find a way to be able to calm down and feel okay without going at 110 miles an hour, but also have my periods when I do go 110 miles an hour and realize that life isn't going anywhere, time isn't running out, there's all the time in the world, there's lots of time to do the things you need to do. So that was the kind of first personal point for you guys to take away. It is very easy, whether it's fat loss, fitness, marathons, business. We're all here because we want more, right? We want more results, we want more fulfillment, we want more love, we want more significance, all the things that we're going to go back on to talk about, to following on from the human needs that we discussed on Monday. Yet sometimes we push so hard towards what we want that we're almost actually blocking ourselves getting it. I see this with some of you guys with your fat loss. You want the scales to go down, and I do believe this is a real thing. You want the scales to go down so much on a Sunday that you're running so many miles and you're being so strict with your diet that you're then devastated when it doesn't happen on that Sunday. And I am actually starting to believe, because I'm starting to see this connection between the inner world and the outer world, that sometimes wanting something so much and not just trusting that you need to do the work and then the universe will give you what you want can actually be a psychological blocker to getting it, a universe blocker to getting it, because you are doing the work, but you're so focused on the outcome. And this is back to the fallacy of I have to be happy, back to the fallacy of I'll be happy when. This has to happen by this date. And when this does happen by this date, when I weigh this much, when I look this way, when I earn this much money, when I run this many miles, I will feel like I'm good enough. I will feel happy. And it's what I've talked about in these whole recent series of trainings. And why do we push so hard? Because not having it triggers every single person's biggest fear, my biggest fear, your biggest fear, it's everyone's biggest fear. This is proven in a scientific and a psychological area that we're not good enough, that we're not enough, because we forget that we were born enough. So we keep doing these things to prove that we're enough. And that's when I came on to, we obviously talked about the need for certainty. We talked about the need for certainty. And we came back onto this, and just to repeat a little bit from Monday's training, so it does flow on from it. So we were mainly talking about the need for certainty and certainty. Remember that this is the advanced training of the 6 basic human needs. So we have certainty, uncertainty, we have love and connection, and then the 2 that we love and connection and significance. And then we have the most important 2, which are the key to fulfillment, which is growth and contribution, which we're going to come on to. And we're actually going to mostly talk about love today, which is something you probably never heard me say on a live video. Now, I'm also kind of, when I'm here, the other thing that I want you guys to take away from today's training is I'm a little bit concerned about tomorrow. I'll get through it. I know I will, because I have to, because I'm a leader and I'll be there. But I almost still didn't do this live video this morning because I'm miles off 100%. I struggled to get out of bed this morning. I fell asleep a couple of times in the day yesterday, which then meant by the time I'd got back from Logan's last night at 9 o'clock, I got into bed and I'm like, I really need to be asleep now to get up early. Shit, I can't sleep. And I was like, couldn't even sleep until about 1 o'clock in the morning, I think 1:30. But sometimes, again, when you're coming back, whether it's in fitness, whether it's in nutrition, whether it's in mindset, whether it's in any of these areas, again, we very much I'll wait until I'm 100%. And this can be that same theory. Like, drop me a yes if you've ever done this. Like, you miss 2 or 3 days at the gym because you're not quite right. Maybe mentally, you may be not quite right physically. You maybe pick up a bit of an illness. And then all of a sudden, it's like Jesus wept. That one session, like, how did I go from this flow of, I was going to the gym 5, 6, 7 times a week. I was doing my mindset training every morning, 5, 6, 7 times a week. Everything was good. Everything was great. And then slap bang, the world hits me with something, an injury, an illness, a setback, any of these things. And all of a sudden, going back and doing that one session literally feels like starting from scratch. And I think it's because, again, we can get lost in, like, I almost didn't do this live this morning. I almost messaged you guys, I'm still not right. I don't want really this to be replayed and played back over again. I want it to be perfect. I want my energy to be right. You know, I want to have shaved my head. You know, I want to have trimmed my beard. All of these things. And I'm like, you don't have to be 100% all the time. And that's what I want you guys to take away and understand that. I'm like, do you know what? Just get up and do a live. You know your energy's not going to be 100%. You know your delivery is not going to be 100%. You know you're not still happy with this random white area over here. You know, you know the blinds aren't up yet and the lighting's not how you want it. But sometimes it's just about, right, I'm just going to get up. I'm just going to do the best today with what I've got. So again, if you've had a knockback or a layoff from the gym, you don't have to wait until you're perfect to go back. Just get out and do a walk. Just do something to get yourself back on track. If you've fallen off personal development and just pressing play on a video feels like a massive thing, which it can do when you've fallen off and had a break, just do half an hour. You know, just just do something, or do whatever you can within your levels and your emotional tools and your capabilities at that point, rather than, this is the classic all or nothing person. Right, I've been ill. I'm going to wait until I'm 100% to go back to the gym. I've been ill. I'm going to cancel everything. I'm going to cancel the Ultra on Saturday. I'm going to wait until I'm 100%. I'm not going on live. I'm not doing cameras until I feel fully well again. When it's like, something is always better than nothing. And perfectionism is actually one of the lowest levels of fears and procrastination, because it's just another excuse for not doing the work. Like, I'll wait until everything's perfect and then I'll do it, and I'm not willing to do it until then. So anyway, I'm going to crack on. So we talked about jumping out. If you haven't already, I'll keep saying this over and over again, go back and watch Monday's training. So we talked about the power pose situation. We talked about jumping out of aeroplanes with parachutes and everything in between, staring adversity and challenging the face and going through it. And then once we'd gone through it, it was all about certainty and uncertainty, which you need to go back to in variety. And then I ended with saying that we were going to talk about love and connection, which are the next two things, which are not, it's not like wishy-washy, oh, I love you, although I do love you, that type of love. It's how love relates as one of the basic human needs that triggers the way we behave and don't behave. And it's probably the most powerful and understated one out of all of them. People will do anything for love, right? People will virtually do anything to get love, and people will suffer anything because they're in love. This is why some people will stay with someone who's fucked 7 different people behind their back, because their love for them is still that strong. Excuse my language. Some people will do the craziest things in the world to get love. They would virtually bankrupt themselves to keep someone they love happy. They will tell lies to get love. They will try and make out they're someone they're not. They have a life they don't have. They have money they don't have. All of these things in order to get love. They will give love to the wrong people to try and get love back. It's almost as strong a driver as any emotional need that there is. This is why people, there's like that classic, I've seen these jokes loads of times on Facebook, and it's normally the chav thug mentality, isn't it? When it's like, Karen's got a boyfriend who sells drugs and he smokes weeds, and he beats her up 3 times a week, and he's cheated on her 7 times, including with her sister and her mum. But I love him, it's that kind of joke, but I'm joking and using a weird analogy to put that through. But that just shows how desperate some people are for love and to get it, and will do anything to keep it and not lose it. And then again, another example would be the way we are with our kids. It's unconditional. We would do anything, which brings me nicely onto, remember, everything I'm coaching here, guys, is only my insight on this, my version. So I'm not always right. So, very little has been researched more than this love and this attraction thing. And, again, we know with the short-term quick fix payoff, the sexual thing that's related to love. People will literally ruin an entire marriage for 3.5 minutes of fun with somebody else. That's how strong that driver is. That's how strong that, that side of kind of wanting sex or fulfillment or to feel a certain way towards a certain person can make people make crazy decisions. Love, sex, and money are probably the 3 biggest drivers that would lead to some people making insane, crazy decisions that are just not even normal. So, where love is involved, as I've just said with that, all logic can be destroyed, can't it? This is why you're like, we've all got that friend like, oh my God, mate, she's cheated on you 7 times. How many times would she need to do it for you to realise that she's not the one, that she doesn't really love you? Yet people will go back time and time and time and time again. Why? Back at the original need, certainty. I'd rather have the certainty and safety of being in this relationship with someone who's constantly sleeping with all my friends behind my back, who obviously aren't really my friends, because I prefer that over the uncertainty of being alone. Crazy. So, where love's included, and this does relate all to how you will feel and how you will respond to fitness, nutrition, training, and everything else. There's 2 types. Conditional and unconditional. Love with rules, love without rules. So, we often do or don't do things, including our health habits, based on whether we will or won't get love in return, or whether we will or won't get significance in return, or whether we will or won't get results in return. And this can be conditioned from very, very early years. So like I said, we went into this briefly and discussed what's the very first question. Sorry, what's the very first word that kids tend to say? It's not mummy, it's not daddy, it's no, because they've heard it so many times, because kids become very inquisitive in their twos, and all of a sudden they get unconditional love until they're 2 or 3. They could do anything, and all of a sudden they want to, oh, I'm inquisitive, I want to see what's at the bottom of those stairs, I want to run outside, I want to do all these things, and I have no fear. And this builds back into the trainings when we've talked about fear. The only 2 fears you were born with were loud noises and the fear of falling. Everything else has been created by situation and circumstances or your own thoughts. Those are the only 2 true fears. So they say the word no as the first word because they've heard it so many times. No, don't do that. No, don't do that. No, don't do that. And it's not because, building into love again, then your parents will do this even in your adult life. Oh, no, I don't think you should do that, Carl. That's a bit risky. No, Michael, I don't think you should go for that job. I think you should stay as you are. It's safe. You've got kids. You've got a missus. Nah, AJ, don't gamble on that business. Just stay as you are. It's safe. It's secure. You know. Don't take risks. Be careful. How many times do your parents say, be careful? Versus go for it with a heart that's full. How many different times do we not hear that? So, and it's not because your parents, your friends, your kids from that age of 3 right up until 43. Some people are still being controlled by their parents at 40 years old, by their parents telling them not to do things because it's risky, it's safe, it's not secure, they might get hurt, they might fail, they're okay as they are, all that. So, you know, and it's not because they don't love the person. Okay, it's because they love them that much that they're that focused on protecting them and keeping them safe that they actually hold you back. So this is why we constantly tell kids what not to do, what they can't do. Don't do this, it's dangerous. Don't do that, that's risky. So now can you see where so many of these habits come from in your adult life? Why you're afraid to take risks, why you're afraid to go for the job, why you're afraid to ask the girl out, why you're afraid to start doing the things that's in your heart that you really want to do that you're not doing because you still feel that you need some form of validation from someone else to do it. You need somebody else to say, yeah, go for it. You need somebody else to agree with you. And again, that can go right back into the childhood area of, well, if I don't succeed, if I don't do what I'm told, then love gets withdrawn. We all do that. That's the easiest probably way without shouting at them to actually get a kid to do something what they do. Right, I'm going to withdraw my attention from you. Ah, God, okay. Now the child understands, if I don't do what I'm told by another human, then love gets withdrawn. This is why there's so manipulative relationships. This is why a lot of narcissism goes on these days, because people are being controlled. So most of your adult belief systems in many areas were built from this area right through into where we are today. So we often then take this, as I said, into adult relationships. And if you are having any issues in your relationships, this might be the first place that you want to look. Because many people are in relationships of conditional love. I'll love you if you provide for me. I'll love you if you look this way. I'll love you if you act this way. I'll love you if insert any form of condition that many people have that they need their partner to be in order to love them. This is why Nikki's told me this so many times. Every single couple, she says 99 out of 100 couples that go into their relationship plan, the very first thing they say, if only he could be more like X, then everything would be okay. If only she could do this, then everything would be okay. You can see how the relationship's flawed straight away. It's not unconditional love. Unconditional love is I will love you no matter what. And before I end this, because it does need to be a short training, because I need to go and get Logan, Write this in the comments, and this will make a little bit of sense with it as well. How many people, be honest, in any area of life, I'll start by saying yes, experience some form of jealousy, feel some form of jealousy, or envy is a softer word to use. They're slightly different, but they're technically similar. So you might be jealous if someone else looks at your partner. You might be worried you're going to lose them. Why? What's that going to do? Trigger you in the fear that you're not good enough. Jealous of what people have, jealous of people's cars, jealous of people's houses, jealous that your missus is going to fancy someone with a better body than you, jealous that your husband's going to fancy a woman who's got a better body than you. Any of these types of things, right? Jealous of what other parents have, jealous of anything, jealous of money. A lot of people are jealous of people with money. That's why they come out with these things like all rich people are bad, and no one in our family's ever had money, and everyone in our family's always been big. It's going to keep them safe. Deep down, it's jealousy and envy. So if you are, own it. We say this all the time, own it. I get jealous all the time. So what we need to understand is it's probably the most destructive emotion. Some of you, past and previous, have quit this plan and left various groups because you became jealous of the results that other people were getting. Drop me a yes if you've done that. We do this, I do it. We start to get triggered when we're not really doing the work because we're not emotionally in the right place. We start to get triggered by other people who are doing better than us. We start to slate other people. And that deep down, almost all negative emotions towards other humans comes from some form of jealousy. Some of you have said it to me as soon as you sign up. Everyone in the group's just better than me. Everyone's smashing it. I'll never be like that. I can never run that far. Everyone's better than me. Everyone's better than me. And it's not a nasty jealous thing, but it's an internal jealous thing. And it can be a very, very destructive emotion because it's tied to envy and it's tied to self-worth issues. This is what drives jealousy, and it comes right back to everything that we've been talking about probably in the last 10 trainings, is it triggers our biggest human need, yet again, that we are not enough, that we are not good enough. And as I said, I'm here to tell you, every single one of you is good enough. You were born good enough. So if you want to get rid of this in a heartbeat, answer this question. This is a new little task to do before I wrap this up. So go and look in the mirror. And this question is so powerful. What gives us the right over who should or shouldn't love us? There isn't one. It's just deep down created by our own need to be loved. And the only reason we have this irrational need to be loved, which makes us do crazy things, including jealousy and envy and crazy things, especially when we think the person that we love is going to leave us, which is going to trigger our inner fear that we're not good enough yet again, is our fear of losing love. That's what triggers it. Our fear of losing results, our fear of losing safety, losing significance. That's why the person will stay in the toxic relationship, because they fear losing what little bit of love they might have in it than not have any at all. So again, this is how we can look at that scenario in terms of a relationship. When a relationship ends, we can say, oh my God, Amanda left me because I'm not good enough. I'm not tall enough. I'm not rich enough. My body's not good enough. I'm not intelligent enough. Can't believe she said all those things to me. I'm only joking. And I can make it all about me. Why? Again, I'm triggering my innermost fear that I'm not good enough. I'm not enough. I'm not any of those things. Or again, I can say, God, thank God she left me. Thank God She packed her bags and left this house because now she's made room for someone who is going to love me unconditionally. Someone who doesn't care how tall I am. Someone who doesn't care how much money I have. Somebody who doesn't care what my body looks like. See how that is exactly the same scenario, but two different situations. And again, you can relate it to your career. God, thank God I lost that job. Now I can go and find a job that will make me truly fulfilled. Thank God that landlord kicked me out of that house. I'm so much happier here. You know, it's the same scenario, but going back to love, there should be no rules around it. But most people only have conditional love. And this is just because of your upbringing. And it's almost always because, drum roll, we haven't worked on having enough love for ourselves. And so people are so uncomfortable with this. But when you can just drill deep on loving you, loving yourself, being you, and not needing somebody else to convince you that you are good enough, that's when you will attract unconditional love. In all areas of life, that's when you'll attract prosperity. That's when you'll attract fulfillment. So another little idea is we're just gonna, like, this is a great example. Peter used this example, it's incredible. So imagine you're down on your luck, right? And you're down to your last 50 quid. And you're sat in a cafe having a coffee thinking, what am I going to do? How am I going to pay my mortgage? How am I going to tell my wife or husband? Where do I go from here? 50 quid, that's all I've got. I've just lost my job. And then some little scrote runs in and he grabs that 50 quid off the table and he runs out. That was your last 50 quid that you had to feed your children. How do you feel about that person? What emotions are you experiencing now? What would you do if you could grab hold of him? How are you feeling about the person that ended your job? How are you feeling about all of these things that have led you to this point? Drop in the comments. What emotions would you be experiencing towards that person? Hatred, anger, you'd want to throttle them, you'd want to chase them. Now, we're going to relate this back to self-love to wrap it up. So imagine you're sat in the same cafe and you've got £100,000 in cash sat on the table. You've just had your biggest payday ever. You are on cloud 9. And that little chav runs in and he nicks 50 quid off the table. What would you do? How would you feel? Now, granted, you probably still wouldn't be that happy, but you still have 999,090 £50, whatever. You'd still have that amount left. So the only thing that's changed is the perception. You'd be like, oh my God, like that poor kid must really have needed that 50 quid. Maybe that can feed him tonight. Maybe that can feed his family. Maybe that can just help him ease a little bit of the pain that's in his life today. Same situation, just a different amount of money. Now, forget the money, take that away and replace it with your love for yourself, your respect for yourself, your self-worth. How do you feel if someone comes and, if you've got no love for yourself, no respect for yourself, you're not authentic, you're not happy being you are, and you don't have this unconditional love for yourself. Remember, going back to the morning habit and routine of exercising your love muscle in your love gym, and you're not feeling complete, then when someone just takes one little bit away, one nasty comment, one pull down that offends you, threatens your significance, threatens your love, we react so badly to it because we haven't filled ourselves up first. When like we're on point, right? When we love ourselves, as it really sounds, like it doesn't really matter. When you're happy with who you are, you don't really care what other people think about you. But when you've not got that right, it only takes one person to fire a nasty comment, and all of a sudden it's like they've taken your last 50 quid and you're on the bottom. So, you know, this is very often why we react to the smallest things, why we get angry at a text message. Like, I've got quite good at handling this now. Like, it really, like, the amount of, like, you guys go on my Instagram, go on my reels, look at the comments. Every single day there's somebody trying to pull me down, trying to slate me. God knows what some guy was going on about yesterday. Shut up, man, you're full of shit. Just because I said that there weren't, you know, comfort zones doesn't exist. They're like lines between counties. He says, well, yeah, there is lines between counties. I says, well, go take a photo of one and show it to me. Oh yeah, I see your perspective now. But again, you know, if I was really low, I would have maybe told him to shut up back. Whereas I wasn't, I was okay, so I just answered it normally. But, you know, go back and watch the training today after this on the importance of self-love so that we're guarding it. Because when you have so much love for yourself, not in an egotistical sense, but, you know, nobody can really hurt you. Nobody can upset you. This is when it's like, okay, you don't love me as I am, that's okay. This is how I handled all the stuff with my dad. Until I got a proper handle on it, I made it all about me. Until through doing the work with Kieran. There we go, GMP. That I managed to realise actually it wasn't about me. I just hadn't learned to love myself. So when then somebody didn't love me, again, I made it all about me. But if your love bank was at 100k all the time, you're not going to give a shit about when someone takes 50 quid. But if it's only at 50 quid and someone takes 50 quid, then you're going to be feeling really upset at the end of it. So we're going to come on to significance next. But again, this is why, I'm going to finish on this. Actually, this is another great example. This is why, and again, you'll know where this is going off in very areas of your life. And the next training on Monday, I'm going to be very much working on teaching us to understand how our outer world follows our inner world. But this is why some people get into religions. It's not based on coming to my religion and you're okay as you are and I love you unconditionally, is it? It's you come into my religion, you follow these rules, you do as I say, you repeat what I do, and then I will love you. That's conditional love. You can't do that. Love can't be based around rules and conditions. You can't, I will love you, Carl Apps, as long as you fall in with my pictures of what I believe is right. No, love is love. And it should always be unconditional. And if it's not, you shouldn't want it. But then people use it to manipulate and control others to try and get them to be the person that they want them to be, and they shouldn't. But the biggest thing before we move on to significance again on Monday and tie this all up, and this will really make sense, and these three together is going to be amazing. If you can give love in the face of adversity, after giving all the love to yourself so that you're in the right place, that's when you'll be unstoppable. Guys, I love you all. Have an amazing day, and I will see you at the Ultra tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock sharp for an 8:30 start. Love you all. Have a great day.